The next entry in Disney Star Wars is The Mandalorian and Grogu, and I'm personally wondering if there's going to be a big enough audience to justify what is surely being spent on this film, probably $200 to $300 million at least in production costs alone. The peak of The Mandalorian was the end of season 2, and if you can believe it, that was now almost 4 solid years ago. Yeah, back around Christmas of 2020, when Luke Skywalker walked in the door to save the day. Since then, things have arguably gone very downhill. But we recently got some news, or rumors at the very least, by way of our friend WDW Pro of that Park Place. And he's got some new spoilers, perhaps, to impart to us, and we're going to discuss those to see what sort of bearing this is not only going to have on the future of the Star Wars franchise, if any at all, but what it could have as an impact in terms of the performance of this film, because Kathleen Kennedy and Disney Lucasfilm are in desperate need of a win. Renegade Online. Some major plot details have allegedly been revealed for Jon Favreau's upcoming The Mandalorian and Grogu film, specifically regarding the fate of Katie Sackhoff's Bo-Katan Kryze's character. In a video uploaded on his YouTube channel, Pro revealed that Lucasfilm and a Disney insider revealed to him that a major plot point in the film has been changed in regards to Bo-Katan Kryze. He shared that, quote, Bo-Katan's character may have been set up to take the crown as the Mandalorian at the end of the film, and that seems to have been jettisoned now. And you can draw your own conclusions for why Favreau and company would decide to do that. That worked out so great in Indiana Jones and the Dial of Crap. Remember those rumors? That was basically going to be the end of it, where annoying, obnoxious, God, you just wanted her to die in that movie, British chick, was going to literally pick up the fedora and put it on at the end of the movie. No, she just punches Indiana Jones in the face and drags him back. I don't even want to remember. I never even watched the whole movie. I couldn't get through it. I skipped through, watched the last scene just to see how the ending went down. That was literally it. That is the most I've laid eyes on that movie and ever will. But it sounds kind of familiar to this, doesn't it? That Bo-Katan was going to pick up the mantle of, the Mandalorian. So that apparently has been 86'd. But now it seems that instead, Bo-Katan will sacrifice herself, apparently, in order to save Mando, Din Djarin, and Grogu. That's a big deal. Okay. Again, as long as the story and the concept is set up well, which we all know Jon Favreau is perfectly capable of being a great storyteller. What has concerned me more, and we've talked about this, as the years have gone on, especially when we saw Mando Season 3 especially, how much of Jon Favreau is still involved in the storytelling, even though his name is on it. How much of Jon Favreau is still really involved in the storytelling versus Dave Filoni? Because I think everybody at that point looked at Mando Season 3 and said, this looks a lot more like a Dave Filoni show than a Jon Favreau show. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen again in this big screen adaptation. But wait, there's more. This insider shared with Pro, I'm told that Luke Skywalker will appear in this film with a very young boy. This is where things, well, this is where they get even more interesting. A very young male actor. I'm not sure if that means an infant. I'm not sure if that means a toddler. I'm not sure if that means very young child. What I can say, though, is that the speculation I'm hearing based on the attire that this actor is going to be wearing, or is wearing currently as filming is going on, this is going to be the first time you see Luke Skywalker and Kylo Ren together. So the young actor is apparently, according to rumor, portraying young Kylo Ren. And that there might be some attempt to display how much Luke is a wonderful uncle and loving towards Kylo Ren. And finally, folks, we're also hearing that we're going to get some serious Jedi powers in the film. I can tell you that I have been given a heads up on who the villain is, but he's not ready to divulge that yet. That's from Pro. So based on what he's hearing, we are actually going to get And that's been the guidance up to this point, right? We've had scenes of, we've had sequences or discussion of the temple, that Jedi temple being built, right? When that was being put together, when we saw Luke Skywalker in, what was it, Book of Boba Fett, they brought him in one of those 2 episodes or something like this, or when Ahsoka was going to, or no, maybe that was Mando's. They're all confusing. Yeah, it was Book of Boba Fett. And it looked like where they are. They were getting ready to build a Jedi temple, blah, blah, blah. We're going right back to the sequel trilogies, kids. They're not changing anything right now unless they can somehow turn this on a dime. But it doesn't look like that's happening. So, again, and this is my point, if this is how bad this is. If this Star Wars movie comes out, remember, this is the first thing that they will have put on the big screen in 7 years by the time it comes out. If this movie actually gets released on time in 2026. If there's any fandom left in 2026. Because what do we have between now and then? Skeleton Crew? The Mandalorian is done. This is going to conclude. This movie that you're looking at here is said to completely conclude the Mandalorian storyline. I'm guessing that also includes what little we've seen of Thrawn so far. They're talking about Ahsoka Season 2. I don't know where or when that's going to fit in. I don't know if that show would actually come out before the Mando movie. I mean, we're already almost out of 2024. I don't think that Ahsoka Season 2 has either been written or has been scheduled for production yet. This is a movie that would be slated to come out, I think, summertime. So early to mid-part, May, June of 2026, if not mistaken. So there's not much time for an Ahsoka Season 2. What the hell is between now and this movie? Nothing. And what's leading into this movie with audiences is the really bad taste in everybody's mouth left by Jack Black and Lizzo in Mando Season 3. If this movie shows Luke Skywalker with Kylo Ren, a young Kylo Ren, whatever hopes, whatever dreams there were of making this franchise viable again, it's over. It's over now. I was hoping that at least with a Mando movie, not that they were going to come out and do anything that would look like a hard reset, because at this point I think that's gone. That's off the table. We're all going to guide towards the Rey movie right now is in limbo, right? Don't even know if and when that's going to happen. Don't even know if they have a screenwriter right now. We talked about that previously with Stephen Knight. He's moving on to Peaky Blinders, the movie. He's got his own stuff. Everything about Stephen Knight right now seems to suggest he has walked away from this stupid Star Wars project. I don't think he wants to have anything to do with it. I think he tried. I think he wanted to try. And I think he wanted to probably try to do something really good by the fans. But he probably met Kathleen Kennedy, and that was the end of it. He probably met Dave Filoni, and that was the end of it. He walked. So now I'm telling you, if they make a Rey Skywalker movie, it's going to be Charmin Obaid-Chinoy who's not only directing it, but probably also writing it, or being a co-writer at least on it. I bet. I've been saying that since the early part of this whole thing started, and I'm probably going to bear out to be right. Let's just wait and see. Mandalorian and Grogu film is apparently going to be it's going to be playing into a supporting role for the Rey Skywalker movie, right? Because we're going to have young Kylo Ren, according to the rumor, is going to be in this movie. We're going to introduce Luke and Kylo Ren together in the very early stages. It's all going to the sequel trilogy, kids. Can you imagine? I mean, they don't even need to put that in this movie. They could just make a Mando Grogu movie. They have got to understand. They have got to be able to acknowledge how hated the whole sequel trilogy situation is. Taking another shot at the Rey movie, I think, is even a huge risk. And I think it's stupid. But if that's how Disney wants to burn $500 million, let them do it. Their investors, their shareholders are retarded if they allow that to go on. This is a dying franchise, a dead franchise, whatever you want to call it. And doing this will kill the Mando movie. I think the Mando movie, actually, of anything that they were doing, actually might have had a chance if they were letting Jon Favreau make a really good movie and they just stuck within the Mando time frame. Stay in there tightly. Don't even reference, don't even bring up any hints of sequel trilogy anything. You have a perfectly good set of viable characters here that you can conclude their story faithfully. You can talk about Bo-Katan, talk about Din. Go let Grogu go back with Luke. End the movie with him going back with Luke. You know, give people some sense of hope. And I'm purely speaking from a commercial perspective, right? I'm not talking about fans going, oh, it's about to get better. I'm talking about being able to sell movie tickets. I'm going to make that very, very clear. Sell movie tickets. If this gets confirmed, this will shut down probably at least half of your potential movie ticket sales of people who just might want to go check it out. There are nowhere near enough little freaky fruity Raylos out there to push this thing to profitability. And the rest of the Star Wars fans have they have pieced out, man. This will be a movie that's going to need to make probably close to $1 billion. Let's be realistic. It's probably going to need between $800 and $1 billion to break even. Remember what they spent on The Force Awakens. Remember what they spent on The Rise of Palpatine. Over $500 million to produce. Produce. Not market, just produce. Over $500 million each for The Force Awakens and for The Rise of Palpatine. Come on. Even if they had very well-controlled expenditures on this, great, fine, $300 million. You telling me they're going to have spent $300 million or close to $300 million on The Acolyte, but they're not going to spend $300 million on this? Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Sure. Good luck, Disney. Good luck with this broken ass franchise. And again, failure after failure of The Acolyte, failure of Star Wars Outlaws, a failure for Mandalorian Season 3 because the number of views for that season was sharply lower than Season 2 and Season 1, at least in all the data that we've seen. And the problem with that is Disney Plus had like 10 million subscribers when the first season of Mando came out in the U.S. Disney Plus had 25 million when Mando Season 2 came out. Disney's got 45 million subs when Mando Season 3 came out, and it performed worse. And not by a little bit. It wasn't Book of Boba Fett bad. It wasn't The Acolyte bad. But it was bad compared to the first 2 seasons of Mando. You can't come off of this many failures and just expect the audiences to show up like a bunch of retarded cows and just, oh, where's the next bale of hay, right? And just start munching. No. I feel bad for Jon Favreau because I have a feeling that way too much Dave Filoni or more Dave Filoni in this movie than Jon Favreau. And I think we all know how that's going to go. Poorly. I hope I'm wrong. I want to be wrong. I really want to be wrong. I want this movie to be all Favreau, and I want it to be amazing because I want that for him. I really want a good Jon Favreau film. I will take that. And I'll talk about how great it is, if it's great. But if this looks like what I think it would look like, because of people like Kathleen Kennedy and Dave Filoni and throw in the Carrie Becks of the world and all the other girls at Lucasfilm, good luck. Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.